Hi, today I want to talk to you about a concept called the Regional Fleet Movement Coordination Call. This was brought about by Hurricane Sandy and has mobilized the electric sector to work with the states and vice versa to get the power back on quicker. So this whole concept here is focused on power and expediting power restoration, but it's also going to look at, it'll also have supply chain enhancements as people can get their gas and oil quicker and so forth. So there's multiple benefits to this effort. So here's the background. So during Sandy, that's the east half of the United States, pardon my drawing. During Sandy, you had a number of states here in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast region that were impacted by this storm. Resources came in from Canada, from the electric sector. Trucks and people came in from Canada, from the Midwest, Gulf, and from the Southeast to support that movement. And they had to pass through certain states along the way, okay, in order to get in there. And what the private sector shared with us was, as they were coming through these pass-through states, that the issues they were facing through the pass-through states were the standard issues of having to stop at toll stations, having to stop at weigh stations, having no access to certain parkways and throughways that could expedite that flow, and then having limited knowledge about declarations and things that some states had declared emergencies, some had not. These things all affect fleet movement. Very important. So you had to get through the pass-through states to get to the impacted states. In some cases, states that were impacted were also pass-through. Parts of some states were hurt while other parts were not. So sometimes you had both. So this is a key concept. This pass-through state, impacted state is an important piece to this whole background. So the concept is, how do we move fleets faster into the region to expedite power and restoration of the supply chain and power and everything else? So the big idea here is, what goes on behind the scenes is many times the electric sector, power sector companies work together on every storm, and they come together as regions or as the country to share mutual aid. And so mutual aid can look like trucks. It can include certain people. It includes timeline information, when those trucks and people are going to move, and other additional resources they might need, supply logistics and things like that. So that's data they come together all the time and share. Okay, the states do the same thing. They have their own mutual aid network. Okay, and so during Sandy, you had New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, in the Mid-Atlantic Northeast region, but that's Ohio, you had Indiana, you had a number of people that were doing their normal mutual aid process, and these two processes don't always connect. So what you have after Sandy, you had the private sector stood up what they call the multi-state fleet response working group, or the fleet working group. And that group basically brought states in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast together, along with the private sector, to form a working group. This working group is funded and sustained and supported by the private sector, but they invite states to be involved in the planning and training and exercises and product development. So the big idea for this presentation here in this video here is they wanted to say, why don't we have a conference call? Okay, and that's what we're talking about right now. A multi-state conference call convened by the private sector that invites the public sector in and say, hey, look, we've just come out of our mutual aid process and we're going to have 1,100 trucks, this many hundreds of people. Here are the departure times, arrival times, here are the resources coming, and share that data with the states, both impacted states and the pass-through states, on a call. 30 minutes, scripted, very tight, and which complements all the calls everybody's on during a disaster like this. Nobody needs more phone calls. But this call would be the private sector sharing with states, here's what we need, here's what's coming, and how can you help us? And then the states can say, hey, you can take this route, go through the toll stations this way, go through the way stations this way, you can use our parkways, and by the way, we've declared or we have not declared. So the states and the operators in the private sector are planning this call right now in October. So it is now October of 2013. And this call is being planned to be executed as part of the first joint exercise called CADEX, which is a series of 4 years. So there'll be 2014, 2015, and 2016. Each CADEX will focus on the corridor between Richmond and New York and look at expediting fleet movement, data sharing, and training of private sector liaisons inside state EOCs. This year they're holding it in the D.C. area. Next year will be Pennsylvania, then New Jersey, and then New York. So the whole idea is to share information, exercise it once a year, make it better, make it improve, and then also you have a number of federal agencies that need to be coordinated with as well. Here you have FEMA, Department of Energy, Department of Defense. I'm leaving some out, but all the feds also need to be part of this, and we'll probably coordinate that as part of phase 2, the planning on how we best do that. But right now the focus is really between the private sector electric company operators with the state Department of Transportation, Emergency Management, all the folks that have a role in toll booths, way stations, parkways, and declarations. So the whole goal here is to formulate a call, share information, and help remove roadblocks or expedite through other areas or things that might prohibit fleet in the pass-through states as well as the impacted states. So this call will include not only the folks that are impacted, but the folks on the fringe that could expedite fleet movement. So the big idea here is for every hour, okay, that a truck is delayed moving into that area, that can result in as much as 24-hour delay in start time. That is a big number. And some of these trucks get delayed at toll and way stations for quite a while. So anything we can do out here in the fringe to get those fleets moving inside quicker helps get the power on faster, which helps recovery start sooner, and the domino effect is there, not only for citizens, but for small businesses and for the communities as a whole. So that's the idea behind this multi-state regional fleet movement coordination call.